Good day, everybody. My voice is a bit crackly, but I know you'll forgive me in advance. As we have a little chit-chat, if I so may call it, a little chit-chat about education reform and economic growth. Now, I took the liberty today, I know we are business people, whereas we're citizens, we're comrades, but I took the liberty today of inviting some extremely special guests. So, with all protocols observed, Committee Chair, Committee Leader, my fellow candidate, and to all of you here, permit me to introduce some special guests. They're in uniform on the extreme end. If they could just please stand in. Now, I'm just going to ask them just to walk across for a second so you can have just a look. Just walk across and then go back to your seats real quick. I only have 10 minutes just to walk across. Oh, 7 minutes. 7. Now, if you can take a quick look. They're shy, it's all right. That's all right. Now, if you guys can just stand right here. Now, everybody, for some of you, this could be your grandchildren. For some of you, they could be your children. For some of you, they could be your neighbors. They could be your friends. They could be your loved ones. For all of us, they're Antiguans and Barbudans. All right, ladies, thank you so much. If you could sit. Now, in today's climate, the world has transitioned so much. Let me just double check to see if they were able to load my slide. Not as yet. So, in today's climate, the world has transitioned so much that our cell phones are now mobile command centers. We do banking, we check emails, we check our bank accounts, we send text messages, we send WhatsApp messages, and everything else that you can think about. And for most people, they rely on the camera on their cell phones to keep them up to date. It's connected to the internet. My point is, technology has evolved. We have evolved. Our education system, unfortunately, has not. How do we arrive at an education system that allows us to connect our human capital? It's the most important asset that we have. Our human capital with economic growth. In most instances, education is left behind. But for all of you sitting here, bar none, imagine what your life would be like without access to quality, adequate education. But yet still in an Antigua and Barbuda today, last year, 1,500 and plus students took the mathematics exam, only 400 passed. I'm talking about a 27.6 passage rate. And you would think that it gets better, but it gets worse every year. It has been getting worse for the last 10 years. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party has a rescue plan, not only to transform our education system, but to revolutionize the way that education is looked at in Antigua and Barbuda. Simple plans. We start by looking at the physical infrastructure. Because one thing we all do understand about education, if you want to be educated, to receive a quality education, it must take place in an environment that is conducive to learning, the physical environment. So we start by looking at the physical plant. When was the last time you saw work being done in a school in Antigua and Barbuda? I'll wait. Or even better yet, every time the school is about to open, that's when construction work begins. Kids are sent home, grass is being cut. Many classrooms languish for paint, even some of our most prestigious schools. Let's look at it this way. With the drought that affects us now, how many of your kids, of our kids, have to go home because there's poor infrastructure, no water to flush the toilets, in 2014. It's alarming. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party's plan is to make sure that we put in place an expedited or a rapid plan to fix all our schools. Make sure the infrastructure is the way it should be. Basic necessities, sanitation, classrooms that are kept and repainted and redone on a regular basis. Furniture, so that every single child can have a basic desk and chair. You would not believe in 2014, kids in our country don't have a desk and chair to sit on. It still happens. What else are we going to look at? We are going to expand, and we have to capitalize on our human capital. Continuous training, evaluation of our teachers, train them to see where they're at, train them so they can be up to date on best practices. One thing we have forgotten as a people, as a society, we would never go to anybody who wants to perform heart surgery, but is not a trained doctor. Very rarely would we ask someone who is not trained in law to represent us in court. But in our society, we neglect the fact that teaching is a science. It's a societal problem that we must correct. Our plan as a party is to recognize the science of teaching, the pedagogy, cognitive behavior, recognizing that students learn differently. And we are putting forward a plan to make sure that we engage our teachers in a continuous training program. Imagine with me that in 5 to 7 years, every single teacher in Antigua and Barbuda is trained as a teacher. Every single teacher has a degree in teaching. Every single teacher is evaluated on a regular basis. And every single teacher has the opportunity for upward mobility in his or her career. Imagine a system where every single school administrator is trained as an administrator, human resources, public relations, law. Those are areas which the principal of today needs to manage a school, to manage the people that are there, and to manage the young, eager minds, those minds that sit in the corner, that depend on us. We have a responsibility. But it doesn't stop there. There was a thing, and there still is a thing, called the education levy. I just so happen to be a product of the education levy. Started under the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. And I feel extremely privileged to be sitting right next to the gentleman who was the Minister of Finance at the time when education levy was introduced, the Honorable Malwin Joseph. Because of many of the gentlemen on this platform or sitting over there in that seat, because of the vision of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, many persons benefited from education levy. This government now is able to boast about the number of scholarships they continue to give on the education levy. But our vision continues. New leadership, continue with a new vision. Not only will we enhance education levy, but we believe as a party that when you look at tertiary education in Antigua and Barbuda, it's time. It's time. It's time for the University of Antigua Barbuda. When we think about the University of Antigua Barbuda, if you're able to fast forward, you see the slide for UAB. All right, now if you have a forte and you come with me with your imagination, every single college within that university already exists right now. All we need to do is to make sure we support the human capital, to make sure that we provide the infrastructure. And through an act of parliament and a chartering, we have two options. Either we have a full University of the West Indies campus, or we go to the University of Antigua Barbuda, UAB. under our university, in 7 years, this could be a realizable dream. A school of education, a school of business, a school of health professions, a college of arts and sciences, a college of computer science and information systems, an agricultural institute, because food security is real, a college of hospitality and tourism management, a college of maritime studies, fisheries, and sciences. Now, when we capitalize our university, and like I said, it can be functional and producing our first graduate class in 7 years. When we go along with our university, where is the money going to come from? For the amount of money that is collected by the Board of Education now, and for the amount of money that we send overseas in scholarships, not knowing how many of those students will return, this is an opportunity to grow our own, support our own. Many of you sitting in the audience now are amply qualified to be either part-time lecturers or full-time lecturers at UAB, the University of Antigua and Barbuda. When you look at our educational institutions now, Senator Weston said, currently, we pay to send students to the Antigua State College. We pay for Abbott. With so many different management structures, cost overlaying cost, each entity fighting against the other entity to survive. Under this administration, one university speaks with one voice, for one people, for one cause. Many ideas. And when we think of a university, we're not just thinking about educating people, it goes further. A university drives the economy. An educated workforce contributes more in the workplace. We are thinking more than just the person who has 16 or 17 CXC subjects. We are thinking more than just degrees. We are thinking something more fundamental. How do we train our people? How do we engage them so that they can be involved in an economy for the 21st century? How do we educate ourselves? How do we connect to the wider world? For you as a business and a business owner, think of the opportunities in store for you. Think of the number of persons who will come to our shore requiring places to live, cars to drive, food to eat, access to services, goods, commodity. Think of their families visiting them, and think of the offshore spin that it has. This is an untapped reservoir that sits at our doorsteps, something for us to access. So under the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, when you look at our comprehensive plan, from kindergarten all the way to the tertiary level, we are about not just improving our minds, we're about improving the delivery of education. We're about making sure that the education that is presented is not something that comes in a box or a vacuum so that when our children graduate from school, there is no connection. But this is how we bridge that gap. Let's take something like the hotel training school, for instance. How many of you have restaurants? And the one complaint that most of you tell me, the reason why you're unable to just readily employ people is because they come with the knowledge, but they don't have the skills. In order for you to plan a curriculum, to plan an education system, you must sit with the stakeholders. You sit with the students, both the ones who are doing full-time and those who are currently working and want to do part-time. And you ask them, what's your goal? Where are you headed? What do you want to do? The other stakeholders that you also sit with are the potential employers. And you find out what type of student are you in need of, ready to work. Throughout the world, in the best universities, from Harvard to the University of to the School of Economics in London, the curriculum changes every year. The scholarship changes every year. But for us, we still depend on a curriculum that is out of sync with our economy. We still depend on a method and mode of teaching that is so divorced from what we need to progress as a people and as business. The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party is ready. We have been ready. We have learned a lot, and the plans that we put forward in 5 to 7 years will show you material, realizable results from a university that we can call our own, with graduates from our own very institution, to the reformatting and rebuilding of our schools, to the modernization and proper integration of IT and technology into curriculum for production, and making sure that we not only train our human capital, but we reward them. Again, thank you for your time. And in leaving, I ask you, when you think of what I have said, I speak not on my own behalf. I speak on behalf of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Most importantly, I speak on behalf of those children. We are ready. Thank you.